ever questioned us, but I don't think we ever. But it's funny because the people that I know that are in church and stuff, they're shocked when they hear the stuff that we did. So it's like, no, they'll ask a million questions.
Well, it's a lot of that same history and things that we did that may have not been correct or right at the time that really brought us to where we are now. Without, you can make mistakes all your life. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake or doing something wrong, but you got to learn from it.
Right.
And that's where we're all at here. It's like, well, I did this, I did that, and that was wrong. Well, we've learned and we've grown, and well, you guys claimed you matured, but I'm not so sure.
Oh, listen to who's talking, guys, right? If anybody who's heard
I'm
any
only
of our...
26. I got time.
Well, I do think, though, that the occult is a stepping stone, if you will, and I guess I want to be the devil's advocate here, but it's that, I try not to judge people who are in the occult because they sure have a grasp on the spiritual aspects that many Christians don't.
That's one. I think there's one growth area that me and my wife have both, and I'd say more so even myself, is that the understanding of those that are maybe not, that are involved in the occult, or involved in some things that they shouldn't be or whatever. At least they're seeking and searching something, and in that ability and desire to seek and search for something, they just might find what they actually really need, what the truth is. It's the ones who sit back and feel they don't need and know anything. Them are the ones I'm afraid of, or the ones who think they know it all already.
Yeah.
Them ones I really fear for. But you take some that are practicing this or practicing that, well, their mind and their hearts, and something is opened up in them to say, wow, I need something. And so I'm not so quick to judge people who may or may not be doing exactly what they should.
I think everything we do is just a stepping stone. So, and I think between Paratruth Radio and the S-Files, I think a lot of people are going to learn from that, because you've got all the experience and knowledge of that. So I think it's cool. So I hope people check that out. Well, tonight we're going to talk about the paranormal entertainment and the reality of it, the impact that...
A comedy tonight.
Oh my gosh, no. But, if you think about it, I'm into sci-fi, but I know a lot of people like mysteries and thrillers and stuff. We all, there's that whole age-old thrill of being scared. We always want to be scared.
I don't want to be scared.
Yeah, you do.
I don't.
We watch, I don't know, we watch old scary movies and stuff.
They're not scary. They're stupid.
Well, I don't know, they can be creepy.
Isn't that something, though, as you mentioned, standards and what it was today and what would scare somebody back in 1956 versus now? Now what you wouldn't let your kid watch in 1960 or whatever would be an absolute joke today. And now it's like, oh, yeah, you want to watch The Exorcist? Okay, honey. Well, here's some popcorn, here's some soda. Have fun.
Well, perfect example. Check this out. So when Scott and I were dating, I think we were dating, I can't believe this. This is so embarrassing, but I'm going to tell it.
Of course she will.
But I had, back in the VHS days, that would be tape cassette for the TV, for anybody who's not aware. But I had taped the Chainsaw Massacre, okay? And each tape I could put on 3 movies. And then after that, I'm like, oh, look, Cat in the Hat is on. So I put Cat in the Hat for the kids. And then the third one, I think, was that movie Signs, with the UFO thing. Yeah. So, and I'm like, they're like, oh, we want to watch Cat in the Hat. I'm like, okay. So I put it in, not noticing that I hadn't rewound it to that, or fast forward it to that part. So they're watching the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not thinking anything of it. I'm like, what's the problem? It's like, here's our kids having nightmares. But that's the way I thought back then, because it had been indoctrinated to me.
That explains our oldest son.
So it's the same thing, and I think it's just the times that we live in, which, sort of goes along with our thing tonight. With you guys, was there any, paranormal show or scary movie that maybe impacted you, in a negative way or a positive way with the paranormal?
Actually, I think we kind of started doing what we were doing because of ghost hunters and paranormal activity, not paranormal activity. What was the Pennsylvania show? Pennsylvania show. I forget the name of it. Paranormal State.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it was those shows that actually got me
That clown, man.
Oh, the clown. Yeah. God. So what you guys are really saying, if I can wrap it all up, is you're saying you're more of a follower than a leader?
Oh, man.
Actually, no.
No.
The Singapore guys are doing a show now. We led you into doing a podcast.
Ah.
Yeah, he doesn't know that part. Thanks. Well, it's interesting because I found them because I was listening to Linda Godfrey's.
Yeah.
She did a show with them, and so I follow everything she does just because she's fascinating more than her topic to me. But then I heard their show and I was like, oh, I'm going to check these guys out. And I liked your topics. I liked not just your topics, but how you, I guess, displayed them and what you had to say about them. So I liked it. But
was there a show? How about you, Heidi? Was there a show that kind of?
Yes, I remember, and I don't know how old I was, but there were two things. One was the Waltons had an episode with the Ouija board, and that was like probably a lot of people who are younger don't know what
John
the Waltons is. Here, Mary Ellen, what's that? Poltergeist. But it was, this was a wholesome show, and and they had a Ouija board episode, and I remember being so freaked out. But at the same time, I'm like, is that stuff real? But then I think also Disney, when I was 6 years old, Disney had a Halloween special. And if anybody's never seen it, if you Google it, you can find it. It was like in 1976 or something. Oh my gosh, the darkest thing you've ever seen for Disney. It was
for the listeners and for everybody else, if you really start to dabble and look at Walt Disney's history.
Oh, he was heavily involved with the occult.
Believed and what he thought is very heavily occult. People
Yeah.
like, oh, Walt Disney, Mickey Mouse. No, not Mickey Mouse, all the other junk.
Oh, yeah. Walt Disney, did seances and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That was his thing. Chicken wing.
Chicken wing, yeah.
Hey.
Very heavy. For me, it was Scooby-Doo. I mean, that whole, the car. We talked about, you guys heard us before. I mean, there's something wrong with that van. The van's only got the two wheels on the one side. Something's going on. We never see the inside of that van. What's in there? Not to mention, nobody seems to care that the dog is talking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but they're more worried about the ghosts. Yeah.
And how about these people that really never age? I mean, this show has been on since, what, the 60s? Something's wrong here.
Wow.
Crappy dude. He's on steroids or something.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What's with the dog? That's like our dog.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's pretty freaky. So, but I do think a lot of things have changed. I remember in the 90s, it was the Psychic Friends Network with Dionne Warwick came out. But pre that, I mean, that stuff was looked down upon. Anything to do with the occult or ghosts and stuff was sort of, save it for Halloween, but one day out of the year, it's okay. But the rest of the year, don't talk about it, don't do it. When that started, I think people started being more open to spiritual aspects, and I think that just started the ball rolling.
Yeah. Now they're always trying to one-up each other. Every show, a different season, a different year goes by, and it's like, we got to get a little more scary, or a little bit more serious, a little bit more of this, a little more of that, and it's like, where's it end?
Well, Scott and I had been paranormal investigating before Ghost Hunters came on, and I think
there was Ghost.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And I think that was in 2004 when that came out, and I remember going, Scott, these guys do what we do. Oh my gosh, check this out.
Yeah, but in the beginning of watching their stuff, in the beginning it was like, okay, that's lame.
Well,
we were like, what are you guys doing?
Now, you guys said
show doing this? Ours is better than that.
Well, here's the thing. Since you guys said you used to watch it, I don't know if you've noticed, but let's see if you did. When we started watching it, we noticed that they were more, at least Jason was more of a skeptic, and he debunked everything, every single thing. But as the time went on, he was like, oh yeah, and he was more open. Have you guys noticed that at all, or no?
Yeah, I think I've noticed it, especially after Grant Wilson kind of left. Things kind of changed as well.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. The other thing and I know you guys, you don't do this whenever you are on television and stuff like that, but I noticed I've heard stories, and I noticed it's an episode I was watching of Ghost Hunters where they actually faked evidence. And, when they just talk about it, on the internet, I hear about it or read about it and stuff like that. And I was watching it, and I don't know the guy's name, but it's I think he's Mexican or something, one of the guys on
Yeah.
Well, you know, to defend them somewhat too, you know, the networks and stuff like that are going to say, hey, look, you know what, we need a little something here to catch people's attention and keep them watching, and if they don't have enough going on, people will stop watching.
It's about rating. Yeah, that's
So,
true. Yeah, that's true.
And you know, Scott and I, because from our paranormal investigating years ago, just like I said, somehow the media grabbed that from all different angles, and we were contacted by a lot of shows, and there was one particular one that, and I don't want to say because I don't want to get sued or something. I don't have a lot, and I don't want them to take what I have. But there is one now that's very, very popular. It's still on. The name has changed, but they have a show during Halloween, a specific time during Halloween, and they had asked us to do a special, a Halloween special, and they wanted us to do an exorcism.
I remember this.
And they had contacted us and asked, we'll fly you. We're in Wisconsin, and they were like in Indiana or something. They were going to fly us to this house, and we were going to, and this house was supposedly haunted for real. But, you know, so we were talking to them, considering it. But then all of a sudden, after a couple weeks, things started changing. And they were like, okay, so now if you don't have anything going on, we've got special effects guys, and we can do this, and we can push it along. You know, we don't want to make you guys look bad. And things started changing, and we realized, we're like, whoa. We're not doing this. I mean, and I'm like, you can't exorcise something that's not there. You exorcise a demon, and we weren't seeing that. They're like, well, no, this is what you're going to do. So they changed it, and we've dealt with a lot of media before and TV shows.
We told
We
them
know
flat
it.
out, say, look, you know what? We'll bring our own demon. You know, we ain't going to deal with your Hollywood demons. We got
I've
our
heard
own.
that.
We'll bring our own demons, and we'll do it our way. But they didn't want to do that.
So we turned it down, and they ended up, I was doing a show, radio show in Chicago, and they actually contacted, after I turned it down, they contacted the other host of the show, and they had him come in, and we watched the show, and we laughed so hard. First of all, it was supposed to be a 2-hour show. They knocked it down to 1, and he was wearing, what do they call those things around the collar that priests wear?
And he was saying everything wrong.
He was saying everything wrong. He was pretending to be a religion that he wasn't. And there was no demon. And it was just, it was so embarrassing. I was embarrassed for him. I ended up quitting the radio show because I was so upset that he took it when he knew how we felt. And, you know,
Christ compels you.
It was like,
And Christ compels you.
yeah. So I know just from, and I'm not saying every show is fake, but I do know a lot of them. Now, we recently shot for a show that's coming out this fall, but it's a different concept. They actually interview us, and they reenact what we say.
Yeah, kind of like I Shouldn't Be Alive.
Yeah, but with ghost stuff.
Right. So it's actual what we say, and then they just put something for the people to see.
And I really hope that they do it well, because if not, I'll be very upset. But, you know, we talked extensively, and that's why we agreed to do that particular show, because they found a story in my book interesting. So
they wanted me naked.
Right, of course. And
I had no problem with that, you know.
There's a lot of viewers with that, though.
I love you guys. I want you on more often. It's so funny. Well, what do you guys think of ghost hunting shows? I mean, do you think that they're all fake? What do you think of them in general?
Personally, I don't think they're all fake. I'm personally a fan of Ghost Adventures, Zach Bagans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of them, and I had actually met Zach Bagans. Had signed a couple things, and I think that show, like the documentary style of that show, is really great because it gives you a full background of what they're investigating. The whole history of the place. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is when they bring in mediums and they start doing a lot of the occult stuff, because I know they've done some voodoo and have done a couple things that call spirits upon them.
You guys prefer larges instead of mediums?
How am I supposed to handle this? How am I supposed
It's a question.